Okay, hello everyone. So this is a very informal unboxing video meant mainly for my regular players, but I guess, hopefully it'll help someone. Uh, I wanted to show the entire box, but the thing is just enormous, and so I thought the best use of um, the camera space is with the actual box itself, which, as you can see, doesn't even fit in the field of view that I have available with my setup, even though I put two boxes uh, to uphold the camera. So this is Spectacular, tabletop role-playing game of comic book heroes. I learned about this game from Brian Gregory from Stochastic Agency channel, and it came decently packed, and although the outer box was banged and bent a little bit, the actual game box itself seems to be intact. Here on the side we can see that this is ages 14 plus, 3 to 7 players, 2 to 3 hours. I'm not going to show the back, but this is an RPG, superhero role-playing RPG, designed by Rodney Thompson, if I'm not mistaken, who is responsible for Star Wars Saga Edition, as well as a lot of 4th edition D&D. So he is a good game designer. Saga is an amazing system. This is an attempt at something else. We have some notepads, and all of this, when you buy the box, you get the PDF, so you can print these out. These are the character sheets, if I'm not mistaken. And is it or maybe these are notes for the GM. I would have to check, because I believe the character sheets have more detailed. Maybe it's 2 pieces. I haven't read the full rules yet, but I like a good plastic organizer. Ooh, there's a bunch of these. These might actually be for the players themselves. There are 6 of these plastic trays. This is good material. They all seem to be in excellent condition. It's heavy on props, but from what I've read of the rules so far, this should be doable without too much hassle, even if you do not have say the actual dice or the props. I'm sure you can improvise a lot. This dice bag is basically a bunch of percentile dice sets, if I can get it open. Wow, this bag is completely defeating me. Nope, it doesn't want to open. I guess that means it's good quality then, because these are sealed. I'm just going to break it. So here we go. Alright, so it's a bunch of color-coded percentile dice. And then there's some challenge, and I don't know what the other dice are called. Boost dice. There are positive dice and negative dice. These two go together, and this, and this. So 7 sets of percentile dice are included, as well as 4 of these. These are the positive dice. This is similar to Star Wars, where there are Fantasy Flight Star Wars, or Edge Star Wars now, where you roll a set of dice that are not measuring success or failure. You measure that with the percentile dice, but with this, what you do is it sets another whole paradigm of positive things that can happen or negative things, And so, depending on the situation, GM or the playbook will tell you to roll a number of positive dice and a number of negative dice. And of course, the symbols cancel each other out. So, there are blank faces. So if you roll, a set like this, then bad die is canceled by the good die. This is empty, and so you would keep just your positive result. You only ever roll 4 of each in one roll. So 4 is all you need. You can buy this directly from the website, or you can just improvise them. The positive dice is actually, I believe there it is. It's 4 faces and 4 blanks on a D8. That means it's 50% chance. You could use even something like ubiquity dice. Or what I would do if I didn't have the dice is I would roll D12s. And 1 to 6 means positive result, and 7 and over means nothing. And then these dice, the negative dice, I believe it's a D10, and it's got 6 negative symbols. So that's 60% of the time. So what I would do is I would roll regular D10s, and 1 through 6 is a negative consequence, right? And so if you're rolling D12s and 1 through 6 is a positive consequence, then you would cancel those out, throw out anything over 7 or over. And so yeah, I don't think that's much of a problem. Okay, here's where the interesting part begins. Explorers of the Unknown, Streetlight Nights, Clash Among the Stars, and Eldritch Mysteries. As you can see, these are pads of sheets, and so what these are basically, it's almost like pre-designed skeletons for adventures. And so this is a superhero game, right? So you're role-playing superheroes, but there's a meta concern that you are like starting your own comic book company, right? And so you're all writers, and maybe the GM is something like the editor, right? And so you have different types of series that you run. You run Explorers of the Unknown, which is something, heavy on science fiction, akin to Fantastic Four, or maybe Avengers type of situation. Then Streetlight Nights is your basically Batman and Daredevil and street level heroes. Clash Among the Stars, I guess it's kind of like Green Lantern, or super weapons, interstellar wars. And so this might be something like the Infinity series for the Avengers, right? And then you have Eldritch Mysteries. This is your horror comics, your magic and stuff like that comics. And so very interesting way in which it's done, because it contains the entire outline. It contains, I think it's 50 something pre-made quote-unquote adventures, because they're not really made. It's what it is prompts for designing your own adventure. So what you would do, let's show the cards first. I think these are 3 types of tokens. These are hero points, which I guess poker chips will do. These are timer tokens, some powers. When you activate them, they sort of enter a cooldown state. So anyone familiar with board games, you just put a couple of these tokens, and the power will tell you, place 3 time tokens. And so every time it's your turn along the combat, you remove one of the timers, right? And when you remove all of them, the power becomes available to you again. So it's a cooldown mechanic. And so again, any sort of beads, or plastic beads, or even a numerical die, right, that you could put, says 3 markers. Well, put a D6 with the 3 on it, and every turn you flip it down until you count to 0, right? And then these, I believe it's called continuity tokens, but I'm not 100% sure. I haven't gotten that part of the rules yet. I'm barely started. And so this is some nice heavy cardboard. I like the quality of the set so far. This is the actual rule book. It looks enormous because it is. It's a square book. It's kind of like one of those coffee table books. And it looks huge, but it's actually 60 pages. So it's not bad. This is the setting book, and this game doesn't actually have a setting. What this does is it helps you generate and record details of your world. So you generate it and you jot it down, right? Depending on the series or the issue, right? These things start getting development. You have a basics page where you brainstorm with your group and you develop a series of basic questions. What decade does the story begin? Which city is this? Most of the story is going to take place in, right? Is it a made-up city like Metropolis, or is it like New York, or a real city, right? And so there's a bunch of questions that you would answer. Again, this is all available on PDF, so I suppose you could print out different stuff. And then there's a bunch of cards with yet another plastic tray organizer, which I love. Here are the powers, and because this is sort of a sit-down and improv game, right? You would sit down, you decide on which series you're going to use. You already answer the basic questions, like, okay, we're playing in Metropolis, right? And so we're doing the Eldritch series. So we're playing, vampire hunters and wizards and supernatural creatures and fallen angels and, all sorts of, the occult detectives and stuff like that. And so you would shuffle out your powers card, and you give a few to each player, and that should serve as inspiration fodder, right? You pick one of those cards and you sort of start developing your hero based on the powers that are made available to you. So it's mostly random, except that there are some basic powers that are always included. Things like super strength and endurance and some rather basic stuff, right? And there's a bunch of copies of those, and so you don't like the cards that you're given, you can always say, well, just give me a couple of basic powers and I'll make my hero out of that. And so there's team roles, which is basically, are you the leader in this group, in this team that we are assembling today, or are you like the ranged combatant, or are you the tank, or stuff like that. It's an interesting note that this changes every time you play, and so you could be playing the same character in a different issue, right? But now you have a different role. So this time around, you're not the leader of the team, right? Maybe you show up as a guest star in somebody else's comic, right? And now you're just the ranged attack specialist, or whatever it is. And so it's a very clever, very interesting mechanic. Likewise with identities, it's a bunch of things like actor, reporter, billionaire, a bunch of stuff like that. And that's, it's all to help your creativity. And when creating your heroes, give them different secret identities. And then in subsequent sessions, right, if you start new heroes, well, you pick new identities. If you're bringing an old hero, you're supposed to pick your identity out of this and pull it out so it isn't available to the rest of the team, so to speak. So that so you don't have two reporters or two billionaires. Although, one wonders that could be useful. You could have Tony Stark talking to Bruce Wayne or something. And then complications, and I think initiative cards may be in here. It's a very interesting and very innovative system of how to play these games. You like, for example, in games like D&D, if you have a single, if you have a bunch of goblins, it's great because there's 4 players and maybe there's 8 goblins, and so there's a bunch of attacks to go around, right? But if you're playing D&D and there's like one huge monster and 6 players, then they just alpha strike the monster, right? And the monster gets 1 attack to their 6. And so sometimes it's difficult to work. Well, in this game, you can give multiple attacks to a single villain, right? When they meet a supervillain, and so you just shuffle the initiative deck, and every time he comes up, then he gets a turn. So it sounds like a very interesting, very sit down and improvise game, but at the same time, you get to design and build this comics universe. It's like you're opening up your own comics line, like Image Comics or Dark Horse Comics or whatever, whatever floats your boat. But it gives you a lot of support, and it gives you a lot of framework and scaffolding with which to build this series of games. So I look forward to reading these rules in detail, to getting to learn what exactly everything is and how it works. But thanks to Brian for inspiring me to get this game. I love the designer. Did this his name in here? I didn't see in the credits anywhere. Let's verify, but I do believe it's Rodney Thompson. Huh. Maybe it's in the back. Nope. Maybe it's in the back of the box. I guess the credits aren't here. I will look for them and I will post them. I ordered this direct from the game designer company, which I'll link on the documents below. And again, it comes physically, and it gives you the PDFs. And I got it on special. Regular price was $75 or $74 something, and it was on special for $20. So this is an amazing buy, and it just came in a couple of days. So excellent delivery. So that's it, guys. First, very unprofessional unboxing, but a really gorgeous game, and I'm really excited to learn more about it. Oh wait, maybe the company name is here in front of it. Oh, I see how this works. You're supposed to put your character sheet in the middle of the tray, and then you would put like the power cards and the identity cards and all the cards that you sort of collect on the side, so that it slots near your relevant abilities. And so I appreciate the design. I think that's pretty cool. Man, these guys don't get any points for advertising themselves. It's impossible to tell. It should be on the back. Let's see if we can flip it over without everything just coming apart. There we go. Scratchpad Publishing as your designer. It uses the 100 AC system, which is the advantage and disadvantage type of dice, which I mentioned. And yeah, excellent purchase. Go to scratchpatchpublishing.com for more information. Again, 60-page rule book, 60-page setting book, which is basically a log of the decisions of the entire world, right? Or comics company universe, right? Or multiverse. 4 different 80-page series pads containing teams, hero archetypes, heroes, villains, minions, and scenarios. 85 card deck of powers, 20 card basic power set, which is what I mentioned, 85 card deck of identities, 40 card deck of complications, 8 team role cards, again, team leader, striker, whatever it is, 52 initiative cards, tear off pad of hero progress sheets used to track the evolution of heroes, 7 sets of percentile dice, 4 advantage dice, 4 challenge dice, those are the bad ones, 6 plastic player trays, and cardboard token sheet containing hero points, time tokens, and continuity tokens. So that's it. Very excited to read this game and learn about it and get it to the table as soon as possible. Take care, guys. Have fun.